Hey Thomas, welcome back from your holidays and welcome back to the podcast. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm not exhausted as it used to be because we have nice weather in Germany now. It's below 30 degrees, so you can even live in the daytime.
Exactly. In Dallas, we have a little bit on the high side, 38 or something, which is kind of normal for Dallas. But yeah. So, what factors have contributed to the rise of project economy?
Well, it's very clear it's the diversification of several areas of project management. You like portfolio, program management, ethics, and all the stuff. Even now we have things like organizational transformation. Which is more looking at strategic factor. So there are a lot of facets coming out of this. And with these facets, we have new stakeholders, new people who are looking at that. And then although the growth in PMs, PMI was estimating some years ago, we have about 66 million project managers in the world, which is a lot of people who are actively doing projects. But compared to 8 billion people on the world, it's still only a few, So I think if we not talk about project management in a narrow way, but we address 66 million people and want maybe at one point of time have 150 million people working in project management, then we need to have maybe a different language, which is not only focusing on the management part. And we are talking about leadership and power skills and all this stuff already. Also, what is helping as a factor is global standardization, because PMI has the most PMPs in China now, and if you look at the economy, Russia is doing a lot of things with project management, and the whole global thing, is still coming together under project management. And it's even if we have these diversifications in economy and we're trying to build up borders and walls, it's not really something that is relevant to project management, because we still do the same things and read the same books. And I'm just mentoring a guy from Ukraine, actually, who is an officer in the Ukrainian army, but he's also pursuing the PMP. So, and I had a discussion with him, and actually he was learning for the PMP from the Russian translation of the PMBOK guide, and he said, "Okay, yeah, I'm being looked at a little bit with a face, should I read Russian language? But it's there, and I understand it better than the English version. So yes, he's using the tools available to him. So still, project management, globalization plays a big role in the extension of it. And then the third factor I would mention is that if you talk VUCA, volatility, uncertainty. So we have more changes, quicker changes, and change is solved by projects mainly, often, And so, this also in every industry, in every area, we have this VUCA, we have these changes, and the solution will be done by projects.
Yeah. And one thing you mentioned, that the number of project managers are increasing, and the standardization is very important. Actually, with the way PMI has started, the PMBOK, and then standard for program management, portfolio management, and a lot of other standard. What they're doing is so that whether you're running the program or project in Russia or China or Saudi Arabia or Chile or India or US, you use the same terminology.
Yeah.
Yes, there are maybe a little bit here and there language or something, some readaptation, but actually, doing similar things. You have a scope defined, you have the the budget and the time and the risk and issues and everything. Everybody talking the same language.
Yeah.
And a structured language. It's not just random. So that's what I can see. One other thing what PMI has done, bringing all the project managers to think, the structured way of running the projects.
Right. So that's what what I mentioned under global standardization, regardless where you're from, you have the same language.
Exactly.
And this is the main, I would say, achievement of PMI to have this global standardization, and it began, with the very first PMBOK guide in '86.
Yeah.
But then the PMBOK guide first edition came out in '96. This was actually, it was a third PMBOK guide, so there were two versions before, but they were not standardized, and they didn't have the ANSI standards in there. And this '96 guide had 250 pages. Now we have 750 pages with edition 6. And with edition 7, we are back to 250 pages. So it's, it comes back to a more handleable thing, because if I saw people, and also this guy from the Ukraine now learning edition 6, and he was really sweating with 750 pages and more to come, this is not easy for people. And just one thing, I want to mention, I want to do a little bit advertisement for the PMI Germany chapter, because next week, my group in the Germany chapter, we are doing virtual events, webinars, and I'm very proud to have as a guest next week Bill Duncan. Remember Bill Duncan? He is the author of the very first edition of the PMBOK guide, the primary author. So many of the ideas we still pursue today, the idea of process groups versus process life cycle, of rolling wave planning, all these ideas, the principles that were present in the PMBOK guide editions 1 to 6, they are built on the initial ideas of Bill Duncan, and I'm very proud that he speaks to the Germany chapter next week.
All right. So how the project economy will transform workforce models?
Yeah, I think, what we observe, not only in project management, but in a lot of industries, that the let's say the lifelong job description is gone, with the changes in the VUCA and everything which is happening around us. And so we will move from a job role, a job description for a life for 10 years, to task roles, and task maybe projects. So this is where the project economy is needed to design these kind of task roles and project roles, and the project manager might have different flavors, depending on what kind of project an organization is doing. Another thing is, in the same context, with the people, and you were asking about the transformation of workforce models. Workforce means you have employees, but you also have a lot of contractors, and with standardization, you might really easily look for contractors. What I often see is, that contractors are being selected not on skills or experience, but maybe because they are around, or procurement is doing something with them. So I think this will change a little bit in that you might have an AI selecting a list of good contractors for you, and it is based on the information that's available on the web and on their website, but also on other people talking about them. So I think it will be much easier to find a suitable contractor in the future, and you might use more contractors. But there's a balance to take. With contractors, you cannot expect the loyalty or the understanding of the culture of the organization. So you still have to have a core team of employees who are carrying forward this culture, this purpose of the organization, and contractors are helping you with the workload, basically. So this is a workforce model which is already divided today, more in the US than it is in Europe, I must say. So in Europe, we are very much looking in the own workforce, so in the employee state. But I know from some people I mentor that the contracting type of work in project is very common in the US, that people are doing that. And
sorry.
and with that, let me just
Okay, go ahead.
have 2 points. One point is with that task roles and contractors, the role of HR will change. They have to support not only project managers, but also department leads or whatever you have, with finding these things, and they have to employ AI to make it more easy. And from my experience, 20 years ago, when I was running a SAP program with 120 people, hiring and selecting people and interviewing was a weekly business for me. It was not just a one-off at the beginning of a project, but people were leaving. I had to replace people. I had to amend a skill pool, whatever, and this will be a common ongoing task of a project manager, getting new people on board.
Yeah, and that's what it's going to be. And because we're talking about very less people and on the payroll, more people offshore or doing the project or a task, they can be subcontractor or subcontractor work altogether. So the management of these kind of work would be very different.
Yeah.
So we have to be ready for that. And again, you said HR has to play a different role, not just working with the employee. Now they have to work with the procurement teams to get right people doing the job, and and onboarding has to be very fast, and letting go. And of course, that they will be leaving after the work is done. How can you keep the knowledge as well? It's a little bit knowledge, yes.
Yeah,
very difficult, but knowledge.
Very important. Yeah.
My worry is when we talk about the agile, and we having some contractor coming, you are not having, or you're not keeping any knowledge within organization. That's where we need to work on as an organization. How can we have all this model? Great, because we save money, because if we are hiring contractors or task based or project based work, then you don't have to look after their leaves and other financial obligations and many other insurances. You save that, great. But what about because there's no loyalty, no knowledge share, and losing the knowledge.
Well, I had this in one of my last engagements, when we hired a lot of contractors, and we changed strategy from 120 internal employees to more than 250 complete, not internal, but contractors. So, and the first thing was that project managers internal project managers complained about it, because they said, my task is shifting from business implementation into people management, and managing the work. I don't want to do that. Okay, one thing. But the other thing, you're totally right. So if you bring in contractors every week, you have to have a very good onboarding process, sharing the knowledge that they are able to work effectively very quickly. And in the beginning of this process, we had contractors coming to work and being paid, but not doing anything of worth for a month. That's a waste of money again, So and then exactly the opposite of onboarding is the deboarding. So if they leave the organization, what do they leave behind it? That's a matter of looking in a sustainable way of the creation of knowledge within a project. And these are important things, to look at. This is how the workforce model will change. So because a workforce is not only people who are having productive hours, they are also creating knowledge, and this knowledge should stay within the company or it goes away.
Exactly, and yeah, that's where we're talking about IP. Who because somebody has created something, the person going away take this knowledge to some other company.
Yeah,
is it allowed or not? That kind of rules has to be looked into.
So a good lessons learned process, a good knowledge management is required to enable this.
Definitely. That's robust lesson learned, and that's not we wait for the last minute when the project is finishing. That
No,
should
no.
be regular, a regular interval, or maybe after a particular phase or particular activity is done, the lesson
Yeah.
learned should be captured.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you lose a lot of knowledge.
In an article I have on LinkedIn on lessons learned, it's I'm advocating that exactly what you say, that lessons learned is not something you do at the end of the project, but you do continuously, and you do it at best, when you find something new in your project, when you invent something, when you create a new knowledge. Immediately at this point in time, you have to put it down, document it, share it, and make it available to others. And then you don't need a big debriefing at the end of the project, and trying to remember what did we invent a half year ago.
All right. So my next question is, does a glass ceiling exist in project management? And does it hinder the career progression of the project managers?
Well, I'm not sure I understand the meaning of glass ceiling as you understand it. So I think, are there any barriers for career development and for development? And if that's the question, with the case, I said yes, several of them.
Oh, yeah.
So if I read about glass ceilings, I often read about women having a hard time to progress in a senior career path, and that's for many cases. And I think a lot of even the Germany chapter, we have a program which is looking at this kind of career development for women and what specific barriers they face and how to overcome this. That's certainly the case. But for every project management professional, there is also the glass ceiling of access to C-suite, So there is a saying, okay, a good program manager can be a CEO of a company. I don't think so, There is first a different culture on the level of C-suite and the level of program management. But then, how many good program managers really became CEOs of companies where you need an entrepreneurial culture when you also have this a jungle of fighting, which is maybe the case in some programs, but not in all. In programs you still try to create some harmony. So and then a third glass ceiling I see is the glass ceiling being a contractor and wanting to be an employee because you like the company, you like the customers, you like what they're doing. And then it's very hard, for once you are a contractor in a project, to ask them to become an employee and to hire you. And I have several people which I'm also mentoring, which see that glass ceiling, which because the employer says, well, you are a cheap contracting resource, you're doing a good job, and but why should I hire you? And to overcome this, you need some arguments and some thoughts how to overcome this glass ceiling. So exactly these are the three glass ceilings I see.
What strategies can technology leaders employ to manage economic uncertainty effectively?
Well, yeah, it's about, I think it's about being very resilient.
Yeah.
And even if you can, be anti-fragile, really use changes, use uncertainty to your benefit, and jump on the bandwagon and fight it. And if you look at the past years with the war, with the economic problems in the energy sector, with the corona, there are companies that really blossomed, and that made a lot of more revenues and profits and gained market space. So these were anti-fragile companies, and there are ample examples of that and what they did. At least, you should survive. You should be resilient. You should be finding new revenues. In Corona, we had a lot of discussion with companies, let's say restaurants, they had to close down. So went out of business or not. Some survived because they maybe had a home delivery of food items and so on. So resilience and anti-fragility are the two strategies you should look into. How can you, as an organization, as a company, become resilient or anti-fragile? And I think what helps is some kind of attitudes in the as a technology leaders. You should always have multiple perspectives, not only one thing that you focus on, which you're good at. But you should have different ways to do things, and you should have different products and different markets and whatever, and that's what you did, once Corona hit and you had to go down with your on-site meetings,
Yeah,
you beefed up this kind of
virtually.
marketing with the webinars, and you also beefed up all the online meetings. Then the context, you have maybe before you were very busy in being effective, and efficient on the 3 or 4 products you had,
Yeah,
but now you immediately have to open up. You have to
absolutely.
look at the context. So what has changed? What is new? What is to my benefit? What do I have to take care of? Whatever. So the context becomes more important to look at, and some companies are always doing that, looking at the context. But in uncertainty times, it's more important to look at the context, because uncertainty means the context changes a lot, and maybe new things pop up and you have to jump on the bandwagon or whatever. And then don't be afraid of uncertainty. I think that's the third attitude you have to develop. I said different perspectives, look at the context, and the third thing is be aware that there's uncertainty, and honestly love it. Don't be afraid of it, and hope for more, because the more uncertain it is, and the better you can handle it, the better you will develop in the future.
Exactly. So you mentioned like uncertainty is for everyone. Like you are your company X, Y, Z. So uncertainty for everyone. But if you or your company can manage this uncertainty much better than others, then you will survive or you thrive.
You will thrive. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
sure.
so example you gave about the restaurant during the Corona time. Yes, I know a lot of restaurants got this bankrupt and they have to close it. But actually some restaurants have done better. They
Yeah.
picked up the model of home delivery by Uber and other ways, Uber Eat or something. So and they actually made more money.
Yeah.
People cannot go out, and they have limitation. And you are the restaurant, only restaurant, few restaurant available, and you tie with the Uber Eats and other delivery. You are making more money, and the best thing is you don't have to use your restaurant and cleaning and
Yeah.
dishes and this and that, and everything happens and fast, and you make more money out of that. How does ethics play a significant role in the context of modern digital business thriving in technology?
Well, if you're talking about digital business, we are talking about also artificial intelligence, AI, which is coming up, and this, ethics certainly has a big role in AI, because first we ask ourselves, how can we ensure that AI will be ethical?
Yeah,
And my take on it is we cannot, because algorithms used in AI, all the data they learn, they take over the bias of where they get the data from, and the
exactly.
bias of the people who program them, who are creating the algorithm. So AI in itself will be always a shadow of what the humans which created them, uh, are biased for. And if they are not ethical, then AI will be not ethical. And I doubt if anybody. I doubt it, because I didn't see any paper on it yet. That some people understood what it means to get AI ethical. You cannot, if you have an AI and then you try to have some compliance rules, and look what the AI is doing, it's too late, because AI is already here, and AI is already doing something and hiding something which you don't know, and the end result might be look ethical, but what's going in AI, you really don't know. So that's the one thing that maybe is bad news, or not news, but a bad fact. AI is not ethical. But the other thing is, if we still want to have ethical decisions, and we as humans want this for sure, AI may not want it. For AI, ethics might not be a concern or a topic to think about. But we humans want it because we have developed ethics, because we live together, because it's a human community and society and everything. We have to understand that ethical decision making is a human stronghold. So this is our not last resort, but this is one of our core competencies, making ethical decisions, and we will stick with that.
Yeah. So look, AI or ChatGPT or any artificial tool we're talking here, yes, they can be biased, they can be based on what algorithm programming is done. But at the end of the day, you need people to analyze it, and before you take as a decision or anything, you need to analyze it, and of course, you may have to remodel it based on the company policies, company's ethics. I will not just say just whatever result coming from these AI or ChatGPT, just use them. You need to remodel it. So in your own style, own language, it should not be looked, hey, machine generated information, machine generated code, machine generated report. Yes, machine generated, but it has human touch, which is your flair. That's where you as the project manager come in between. And that's where your experience and your understanding of the system will help you to present the right information in the right context.
Yeah, you're right. That's the discussion we have today, that in the end, we only use it as an input to human decision making, and there's always a human making the final decision and taking this into considerations. I would just say, if you look at how insurance claims are being handled by algorithms today, so in the banking, your credit line is being extended, there is no human involved anymore. It's just done by an algorithm, by a machine. So I doubt that in all these many, many decisions that will be made in the future, always a human is looking at the AI made this proposal and then selecting it or denying it, or even if that human can be, in the position to overrule a AI proposal, because the human might not have all these considerations at hand, and in the end, it's a very risky decision to overrule an algorithm, which is database and whatever, and which is maybe proven. So I think it will be a danger for us. But I also think what I said before, and you also mentioned it, it's in the end, it's the best when humans make ethical decisions, because that's our core competency.
Exactly, because we need to, it's not only always money and many of the things we talk about value. We think value as, social things as well, how.
Yeah. And maybe, things about money and rational decision making, these will be more in the realm of technology, while the ethical things, the more soft decision factors, as you mentioned, then this might be more on the human side.
Exactly. Yeah. Other thing we have to consider about data privacy and protection, trust and reputation, and many of the things.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Next question I have is, can you share a few strategies for dealing with threats in the project economy?
I think we had another question that is similar, how strategy, which strategies can technology leaders employ for uncertainty, and it's a similar thing I would recommend. It's a resilience, develop your resilience, and try to become a anti-fragile organization and do that, and I think in these two factors are relevant for economy, but they're also relevant for the project economy, which is the umbrella. So if you look at at let's say programs, which is a part of the project economy, then in the programs you will always look at benefit realization and benefits definition and do that. So this is resilient in its best way, because you are judging if a decision will create more benefits than before, and you're doing this all the time. So you are all the time looking at the context and looking at the environment, and if something changes done, if you can come out with a better result than was planned initially a year ago in the business case. So that's your power as a program manager, that you can expand on benefits if you see opportunities to do that. You still have to follow process to do that. But I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about the opportunities you have. And so the second thing I would add here, which I didn't add, is be curious and learn, and really make sure in the project economy that you develop your knowledge, not only in terms that you read books and have standards and certifications, but be curious and learn. I would recommend that you really turn to AI. And as my friend Ricardo Vargas said, try to learn about a new AI tool every week. Just look at it, try it out, and see if you can use it. Because AI is not AI one thing, it's now a plethora of applications that is already there and that people are using. And if you have not yet started to look at all the different tools, and then you are probably too late already. Speed up with that. Be curious and learn. And in the moment, AI is a thing not to worry about, but to learn a lot about.
All right. Okay. What are the key skills and competencies that contribute to success of a project manager?
Well, it's a wide range that you have a wide range of tools available, because project managers have to be situational aware about the context. And every project is unique. Why? Because the context is changing. So look, I did SAP rollouts in Europe for different countries.
Yeah.
And the target was to do the same thing again and again in every country. And yet every country was different for mainly three reasons. First, there was a social context, a different culture, different interests of the people, different consultants of the local knowledge, Then the second was a temporal thing. So when we did, let's say, SAP rollout to Italy, it was springtime, very nice. And when we went to Moscow, it was winter and it was dark and freezy. So, even the timing plays a role and has a different aspect on a project. And the third thing, yes, then you have different context in terms of technology, different interfaces to government systems, or the data storage has to be different. So what I'm trying to say, a project is more defined by its context than by the target of the scope you define somewhere. And so you need a wide range of tools to analyze the context and to apply the right tools to implement the scope in this context. Second thing I want to mention here, the wide range of tools is one. Tools of one is one. Other is the people skills, is the influencing skills.
Yeah.
So if you have project management is a people business. So which means a stakeholder business in terms of project manager. You have different types of stakeholders. And your task as project manager is to influence them to the benefit of the project. If it's the sponsor, if it's the steering committee, if it's your team, if it's your customer management, if it's the users you are building a product for, all these different groups have different interests and backgrounds. but you have to influence them to support your project and to help you be successful. And you are the one key person as project managers who can make that happen.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, you correctly mentioned a lot of skills are required. And again, it's based on the time or based on the complexity and location, your skills can change and you need to be adaptive of your skills. But what you can do as a project manager, look around what are the skills are required for you to be being employable or part of that project, leading that project more effectively. Keep looking for those skills like leadership skills and emotional intelligence or stakeholder engagement, how to do this, and a few other basic skills. While we have to be specific, but many skills are there.
Yeah.
Okay, so what fundamental leadership skills are required for project manager to excel in their role? It's kind of extension of the previous one.
Well, talking about leadership skills now, PMI is calling them power skills.
Yeah.
Previously we had people skills or soft skills. I think leadership skills is a very good term because it's about leading others. And if you want to learn about that, you should start with emotional intelligence, with the 4 quadrants of emotional intelligence, which is first talking about yourself, being aware of yourself, self-awareness, which builds your self-confidence. Then acting on yourself, self-control, not doing these knee-jerk reactions and answering a bad email on the same day, but sleep over it. I had a bad email yesterday, and my initial response was, to really write back something I didn't answer it yet. So, and because today I understood, it has time. And maybe he will calm down even before me, so that's the point. And then these are the 2 things you have to work on: yourself, emotional intelligence, self-awareness, self-control. And then about others, the third, you have to watch others. You have to understand others. It's empathy. Develop your empathy. And there are a lot of ways to improve your empathy. For example, active listening skills. It's a tool set of skills, and you can list it down, and then you can work on each of these skills. Active listening, and then if you know what's going on, what this person feels and thinks, and what it's about, what his interests are, and so on, then you can start influencing them, and that's leadership skills basically. So the influence is making, and you have to do that ethically, because if you influence not ethically, you are maybe manipulating them, you are producing propaganda, and that's not ethically acceptable. It might be acceptable in the business environment, and it's done all the time. So even if you develop these emotional intelligence skills and understand what influencing means, you develop your own senses to understand when someone tries to influence you unethically. So, but it's also helping you to make others comfortable with what you decide. Exactly. This way.
Exactly. Look, you mentioned very good points around emotional intelligence. As a leader, part of leadership, you need to understand your stakeholders, your people, who you're leading. So you need to understand who they are, what they're going through, and emotions they're feeling, and that's what the emotional intelligence is about. What if I was in their shoes, how I'm going to feel at this stage? If you can relate yourself with them, then your decision making or your leadership will be different. I may come as I am the leader, I am the position of CEO, director, I can make anything. No, but what will happen to the ground rule, like grassroots people who are doing this job in day-to-day basis? What will be the impact on them? If you can understand that, of course, you need to, you have to keep your emotions out, but at the same time, you need to, don't want to take a decision which can impact their lives.
Yeah.
My next question is, what strategies can individuals employ to succeed in project economy amidst the digital transformation?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think talking about digital transformation, and if you live today, you will not see the end of the digital transformation. Even after you passed away, it will go on. And when did it start, digital transformation? So, well, you could even put it down to the 70s of the last century. But I say, with the first emails, 1990 around, maybe digital transformation started because we didn't write letters anymore, but we wrote emails. It was quicker and everything. And then, still CEOs in the 2000s, they asked their assistant to print out emails. You cannot imagine this today, but still that was the case. So digital transformation is not something bad. It's just a part of our lives now. It's nothing new. So you have to look at this in a professional project economy way, but also in your private life. And if you develop yourself in the private life, it will move over to your business. So be a lifelong learner. Be curious. Because these kind of developments in digital transformation will come up, and you have to be listening what's coming on. And we already talk about AI tools. Look at one new AI tool every week. That's the advice of Ricardo Vargas, and my advice too. And I think this is what you should do. And then, with all this, you are just in yourself. You are looking at the AI tool, you are looking at what's happening, lifelong learning, but you also should look outside. You are part of the human hive, of the human community. So you have to build your own network. And well, maybe just how many LinkedIn contacts do you have? That's one thing. How often do you visit some face-to-face meetings where you meet new people and look them in the eyes? And do you volunteer? Volunteering is a great source of building your network. And I built my professional life, since the last 20, 25 years. So I built a reasonable network, which is global. So I know people from India, from the US, like you, from Japan, from Latin America, and I can contact them because we basically, when we might have only met for some minutes or an hour or in a meeting or whatever, but for most of these people, I can connect, can ask them a favor. So, and they can do the same for me. And I will always reply to my network in a preferred way. So I will never not reply to my network people.
Exactly. Look, networking is very, very important in this age, especially given that the technology is available with LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, and so many ways you can connect with other people. So first thing first, you need to find the right connection. You don't want to be connecting with everyone at any, there are many people just try to connect so that they can sell your connection to somebody else. So be choosy, of course, and right people, right mentor, right who's what you can say, the common thinking or same direction you have. So that kind of thing. And then some network or connection can help you to grow you and help you finding jobs or improving your businesses, or many things can happen. So be open for get connected with the right people. And you mentioned continuous learning, and things are changing at very fast pace. If you go back, I got my degree and I am now engineer or doctor or something. No. That what you learned in 30 years ago is already buried under the 6 feet down under. Nobody talks about that. COBOL, BASIC, Fortran, which I learned in my days. If I have stick to those things, of course I don't do programming, but now I have to keep looking what else is happening, what I can do to give more benefit to my stakeholders, as my students or my mentees. So as you as a project manager, you're working for organization, you have to look for what skills I can learn, which can make me, of course, more employable, and but also what, value for money for the organization, because you're serving somebody, you're hired by an organization, you're kind of a obligation to give them the maximum benefit. And when they see that you are contributing, of course, your employment and your salaries and other things are taken care as well.
Okay.
And the certification part, and keep looking, okay, what's other certificate, whether it's scale agile or some artificial intelligence related or project program portfolio. PMI has great certificates. So look for those certificates, and every certificate, not just for the thing, look, I want to don't go for certificate just because your friends are doing or everybody else doing. I get people say, Dharam, I want to do agile. And so you are working in a construction engineer. Construction, yeah, but everybody else is talking about. Hang on. Just because everybody is getting DA or agile, doesn't mean you should get there. It should be relevant to you, and it should be relevant to your career, where you are working and where you are aspiring to. Not just, don't do the certificate just because everybody else is doing. Do that which add value to you now or in the future.
Yep.
So, there are many things you can do, how look for your adaptability and flexibility, and your attitude is very, very important. When somebody is hiring you, they look at your attitude and how you communicate, all those things, communication, presentation, many things you can do. All right. Okay, great. Another great discussion, Thomas. Thank you very much for all the contribution you are doing to the community. And I hope people are watching and learning from these discussions, and, learn and grow yourself, guys. This is the opportunity. You go back to our 50 or plus recordings we have, me and Thomas, and learn from those recordings, and, feel free to add your comments or ask us questions, connect with Thomas, connect with me, learn from us. Of course, we are not, we don't know everything, but we have seen a lot of word now, and we can actually help you with many things which you cannot see at the moment. We look from outside. We do mentor, like you also provide mentoring. I do provide mentoring, not just certification only. How to grow yourself in organization, I'm working with one person who is working on skills, how to be, talking, especially for different language. How can I be a good speaker, and how can I achieve my dreams? So there are many things you can do, and or you can ask us to help you out.
Exactly. So I'm really enjoying these kind of discussions, because they instill my thinking, and some ideas that come up are only voiced in this kind of dialogue. So I could sit over writing a book chapter, and these thoughts would not be as interesting as being in discussion with you, Dharam. Thank you very much for enabling this and for continuing that.
Oh, definitely. I love discussion, talking with you, and a lot of discussion. I'm thinking one way when I'm talking to you, oh, wow, this is another way of looking same thing. And we ourselves also growing by having these talks.
Sure.
So thank you very much. And thank you, and see you soon again in our next discussion.
Bye-bye, Dharam.
Bye. Take care.